So this video is just a little bit of help in constructing your hypothesis. Now if we look at the science cap for the hypothesis, it says, what do you think the answer to the research question might be using scientific knowledge? So this is a very generalized account of what a hypothesis is. What I'm going to give you now is a little bit more guidance, but this time gearing you towards the perfect hypothesis for the experiment we're doing this week. Now you may remember from the lesson in class that the independent variable is the variable that you change in your experiment. So if we think back to the exercise experiment, the independent variable in that one was the amount of exercise that you did. Okay, so that was what you were changing. Perhaps you ran up more stairs, or perhaps you did more lengths of the playground from one side to the other. You increased the amount of exercise, and that was your independent variable. In your experiment for this week, the independent variable might be the height of the ball. Okay, so if you are going to drop it and see it bounce, or you might drop it and see the crater that's made. Okay, so that's the independent variable. The dependent variable is the variable that changes because of your experiment. So in the case of the exercise, the amount of the independent variable was the amount of exercise. The dependent variable is what happened to your heartbeat and your heart rate. So it's the variable that changes because of the independent variable. Now in your experiment this week, the dependent variable might be the amount of potential energy of the ball. And it might be the amount of strain energy of the ball if you're doing the crater experiment. Okay? So that's your independent, what you change, and your dependent, which is what changes as a consequence. Now, writing a good research question, even though that's not what we're doing in this particular experiment, it's important that you look at the research question and find the key sections so that you can then answer the research question clearly. Now, writing a good research question is easy. You just have to remember the following sentence. How does independent variable affect the dependent variable? So basically you just have to fill in the blanks, okay? And that will give you a really easy and clear research question. These are a few examples. How does amount of exercise affect the number of heartbeats per minute? Okay, so here's our independent variable and here's our dependent variable. Here's another one. How does the height of a ball affect the amount of potential energy the ball has? These aren't great because we could do with a little bit more information, but they'll do for now. How does the height of a ball affect the amount of strain energy that it has? So again, it's just insert your independent and your dependent variables there. So now we understand the parts of a research question. How do we write a hypothesis? Well, it's really simple. You just answer the research question. As the independent variable either increases or decreases, choose one of these two, the dependent variable increases or decreases. So pretty much you have to predict some kind of a pattern. One of these and one of these. So for example, as the amount of exercise increases, the number of heartbeats increases. The next part of your research question is, but why? So you have to explain why when one increases, the other increases, or why one decreases when the other one increases. For that, you must research the answer, find out why, and cite where you got this from. So I'll give you an example. Our prediction for the previous experiment was the amount of exercise increases your heartbeat because you need more energy, your cells need more glucose and oxygen to make more energy, so your heart beats faster to pump the blood faster to the cells. Okay? So, I mean, I could add a little bit more detail to that. It's not perfect. But the important thing is I found this information and I cite it. I say this is where I got it from. So this justifies it. Now you can sometimes like just quote, find my slide presentation on the class website and you can quote stuff we've done in class, or you can look things up on anywhere else, okay? So it's important that you tell me why and you tell me where you got that information from.